We add a few more, see, before and after. This is before, very clean. As soon as we add this, we start getting that kind of halo lighting effect, a very nice bloom effect, the smoke from the car. These guys are giant robots, so you can see here they're stepping on the freeway, they're cracking it, there's some dirt being kicked up, a lot of smoke, a lot of fog, just to give the a lot of energy and give it a sense of reality to the scene. So this is what this layer does, especially here. I did most of the tutorial focusing on this area here because I want to show students the merging of a painting with the real vehicle or the real photo play. So that's why I keep zooming to this section to show, because I spent a little bit more time balancing the values in this section. So if I turn to black and white, you can see that's what it looks like. All right, especially zoom in at this level, on off, what that looks like. All right, and just for fun, let's turn off everything so you can see the original plate. Insert it in, original, insert it in. All right. Zoom out one level here. You can see the level of detail and also the kind of lighting that we did for a shot like this. Okay. Everything else at this point is pretty much done. And then all to do is kick in some of those red lights for fun. Actually, in the film, we actually don't even have those kind of things. But for this demo, I added some of these little glowy red light things just to make them look bad or evil. Give it some more interest. Quite fun. Made them glow slightly. This glow thing, I actually turned it off. I didn't like it. I think it looks good just like this. But they are self-illuminating lights. Right? When you have a light source like this, they have to be brighter. They can't stay in dark value. So that's why I kind of made some of these glow, because they are a primary light source, right? Any kind of lighting like that. But they're not very, very bright. So they sort of look like that. Let me turn this layer just down slightly. Okay. So this is the finished image. Again, let's go back and just turn off a bunch of layers so you can see where do we start from. So here's the photo plate by Jeremy. Beautiful photo. And just on that note, any of you guys out there are kind of doing this or want to get into this industry, definitely get yourself a nice camera and shoot a lot of photos and shoot them in a way that you kind of know what you want to do with it. In this scene, I could tell Jeremy is setting this up for composition when you shot this, because normal vacation photos, quote unquote, people don't shoot photos like this. You don't shoot sceneries or a focus in on some kind of object because it just looks weird, right? The photographs a lot of designers or artists take, they're typically quite different than the traditional photos you see in people's vacation photos, right? We focus on certain things. So in a shot like this, it's very good for composition because we have very clean vanishing points here. We have very good open areas for us to insert stuff. So I could put a huge thing here, or I could zoom in and still be very good for a crop. See, I could crop it in at this level. Still very good for composition at this stage. Okay. So you see, that's a pretty good shot right there. Actually move this down a little bit. That's a pretty good composition or right here as well. So these photo plays are very, very good. So definitely get in the habit of getting a nice camera. These days, especially, the prices are so low. Back when I was doing this in even in year 2000 or something like that, even a 5 megapixel camera cost you by 5K, back then. So nowadays it's super cheap, under $1,000 you could get a very high-end SLR camera. So bring that everywhere with you, and just take good photos of it, whatever you see. Good clouds, good scenery, nice textures. Jeremy, because he does primarily or works primarily in 3D, he takes a lot of texture photos, whereas me, I take a lot of environment photos, a lot of shots, interesting perspectives and those kind of things. So everyone has their area of focus. So and also remember, if it's your own photos, it's copyrighted to you. So this way, you're not getting something off of Google and then painting and later on find out that the image doesn't belong to you and getting a bunch of trouble for that. So anyway, so it's just base plate. That's just some advice for especially those who rely too much on Google. For our school here, we actually don't tell our students to go do anything, find anything on Google and use it, because it's quite dangerous. Go back to the old school way. Take photos or try to repaint something that you see from a photograph in a book. These kind of things, rather than just type some word in Google and then extract the image and start using it. It's kind of like a bad habit. You could do it in a crunch, I guess, but I prefer to work the very I guess traditional ways. Our old school stuff. Okay, so let's turn this robot on. Boom, put him in. Drop this guy in, which has to do with the atmosphere. This is actually the first thing we cleaned up. You can see this is actually my camera. It's shot by Jeremy Cook, but it's taken with my camera. And my camera, I know there's 2 dirt marks on the lens. You can see it right there. Maybe on YouTube it's hard to see, but there's a dirt mark right there. So those are kind of things you kind of just get rid of. You can see I painted it out. I know this camera quite well, so I always know what the dirt marks are. Oops, there's an extra layer being turned on. Some clouds, cities to create depth. First robot, second robot, environmental details and cleanup, right? Dirt and stuff like that. And then glowing red lights. That's it. So if you look at it that way, it's quite simple. It's like the only under 20 layers I think makes this image. But to practice it takes quite a long time. So if you guys get started with this, you want to try something like that, get yourself a very clean plate, something like this, almost monochromatic in a way, right? Not too many colors here at all. It's even if you look at the original plate, it's pretty much gray. It's kind of warm gray overall. That's very good for practicing. And then drop in a silhouette of some kind and start working it in, trying to make it cool, so here's the silhouette. Paint that for a while and then start adding details and paint that. Always keep in mind your values. So it's always a good way to get started with these kind of paintings. Let's drop the rest of these guys in. Okay. And work it one step at a time. So these things does take a lot of practice to get right. Painting in general is quite difficult in a way, but when you have to do production paintings, which is do a design, show a story, balance composition, all those kind of things all in one, it gets really, really tricky because there's so many steps involved in a painting like this. It's not just a typical painted simple subject matter. You have to do so much. And even this painting, if this is a real production painting, there's probably a lot more stuff we could fit in, because right now the robots aren't doing anything. If this is actually for the actual movie, we'll probably light up this car, maybe crumple this car a little bit, maybe put another one here that's upside down, put some soldiers over here that are trying to fight, so they have interaction with the robots. So maybe these guys have a gun here. Let me just plot those in. So pretend we're working on a film and then you turn this in. Most likely the director will be like, okay, let's add this thing, let's add a person here, it's got a helmet, because production paint trying to sell as many ideas as you can, right? Put like a gun here so you can see a silhouette of a soldier, right? You try to sell many designs as you can. That way, a lot of people, when people are looking at this image, you could tell so many different stories, but it doesn't look super, super crowded either. A couple of soldiers here. They're shooting, there's cars up, down. Or in this sense, it's actually probably better if we do something like where there's some person standing here, maybe, or running. So this guy's like running away, a couple other people running away, and then there's a secondary lead here, maybe with their hand out, going, come over, run this way, and then next to this person is some soldiers protecting the person running, right? You have this. So these are kind of typical notes that you'll get on a films. They go back and paint these things in. A couple other people, running around. Explosions. They'll probably put some smoke back here. That smoke will go out all the way out to here. Block him a little bit. Yeah. So this is more typical. And so you put all this stuff in there. It starts to get busy, but you have to control your palette in a way so it doesn't get overwhelming. So this will start getting into production mode. Because this way you can tell so many things. You can have an actor in there, you can have another actor, you can have the soldiers in here, you have effects in here, you have storytelling, like this guy needs to kill this guy needs to go to her, all this kind of stuff in one painting. So you can see it solves so many different problems. And if every painting was like this, and you have 40, 50 of these, you have pretty much the entire film production painted out, right? You could describe every single major shot in the film, and this makes companies like Industrial Light and Magic a lot easier for them to bid on your movies. So they can see like, oh, I see, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do this. They come back with some kind of a bidding. So these things are gotta remember, these are not really paintings. They're for work. They're pipeline stuff. These are kind of things that go down the pipeline, and so many different people are going to use these paintings to do stuff with. IOM uses it to do tests. They use it to do budgeting. Directors use it to tell a story. Executive producers use it to explain why the film cost $200 million, right? There's so many different usages for these paintings, so that's why they're quite important to learn how to do. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's tutorial. Keep the comments coming, and so next week I'll see if I could find some other videos where we could fast forward or something like that through, so you can see actual drawing taking place. But if not, we'll probably do one more on characters. Remember the one I showed you guys last week with these robots standing on a white background? So we'll probably go back and do that one. So in any case, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, bye bye.